Yeah, hey, what's up? My name's Tom. I'm from New Zealand. This is my talk, how to get an academic job. Starting off, of course, with some classic comics here from PhD Comics. Not sure how much I like the PhD Comics anyway, but this is like pretty much the classic, right, where PhDs are presented as a Ponzi scheme in some kind of hilarious anyway, not that hilarious way, I guess, like kind of if you don't laugh, you cry kind of scenario. Anyhow, this is like a talk that I give sometimes. It's about my experiences. You probably noticed that I'm white and I'm a male. So, and heterosexual as well. You might not notice that, but this makes some of the things maybe of limited use, but I think that you'll be able to strategically interpret and reinterpret and reapply some of these things if you are in some way different from me. I'm hoping. I'm also going to say, like, when I give this talk publicly, and also when I give like more personalized versions of it to people who are thinking about their careers, that they often, or sometimes rather, do get upset and can be quite upset to the point that I can get into trouble because they've gone crying to someone about the awful things that I've said. So just remember, it's just, my opinion, man, if you know what I mean, and there's probably some other really great opinions that you should be seeking from people that you know and trust, and I'm just some guy, whatever. Anyway, how did I get into this position? Is that I guess I'm really terrible at applying for jobs. Kind of maybe don't fit the typical academic stereotype in terms of appearance. Who knows? Lots of different things potentially holding me back, like etiquette problems, haven't been finishing school, garrulous, kind of a bit of a potty mouth, etc. Lots of other stuff. But I have eventually been successful in applying for jobs, and it was a long learning process. So when I first started in 2006, when I was about 2 years into my PhD, that year I applied for over 30 jobs, like an insane number of jobs, and I did not get a single interview, I don't think, can't remember. Yeah, but by 2007, when I was supposed to be finishing my PhD, I applied for slightly less jobs, it was slightly less insane, but I managed to get 3 interviews at various universities, and this one that's in red, I actually managed to get this job extremely luckily. But this was like a 3-year, 0.5 research fellowship. So, I mean, not the end goal of any kind of job getting process, but I started to be able to get a little bit of experience in the process of writing the documents and knowing that they actually worked and got to people and people were reading them, and I could actually meet people and convince them that I could have a job. The next year, when I was still finishing my PhD, I applied for around about 12, 13 jobs and got a couple of interviews. Now, just so you know, because anyone I guess could be listening to this, is that my experience is pretty much Australian-based, although like I don't really give a fuck about Australia, so I was applying for pretty much anywhere, right? But it's kind of hard to get those jobs from places that you're outside of your ken and experience. So I've been much more successful in getting interviews and getting Australian jobs. And 2009, when I finished my PhD that year, I applied for around about 12 jobs again, and that time I got about 6 interviews, and I was offered my first tenure track, because we don't really have tenure in Australia, position at the University of New England, which is in some kind of town 700 kilometres from Sydney and Brisbane in the middle of nowhere. It's a very nice place and some great people live there. So I'm not, knocking it or anything like that. It's just far away and cold. So I moved up there at the end of 2009, and in 2010 I applied for 5 jobs, and I got 4 interviews, but because I got offered 2 jobs off my first 2 interviews, I didn't end up having those other 2 interviews. I had to pull out of them, and I took the job at University of Melbourne. Then I moved 2011, I applied for 3 jobs, and I got 2 interviews, and I was interviewed at Monash first and offered the job, and so I took that job and let Massey University know that I wasn't going to be interviewed for them. And in 2012 I applied for 0 jobs, but even so I was offered 2 jobs, one at University of Melbourne and one at University of New South Wales. So that was like very nice, and that was, I guess, like as a result of my working and networking and applying for jobs. They had positions which they needed to fill, and they just approached me. So I moved to University of New South Wales, and in 2013 I applied for 2 jobs. I had an interview at the University of Melbourne, no luck. 2014 I applied for 2 jobs, 2 interviews, one in Concordia University in Canada, cold as fuck that place, and one at University of Utrecht, which is one of those like amazing old school European universities, which is like everything's real old and looks like old, and you know what I mean. It's very prestigious though. I didn't get any of those jobs. And then 2015, last year, I applied for 2 jobs. Had 2 interviews, University of Western Sydney, University of Queensland. By this time, I'm trying to apply for like fancy pants jobs, because I'm starting to think that I'm, not applying for entry-level positions at all anymore. And I didn't get either of those jobs either. So 2016, maybe I'm on the market, maybe I'm happy now because I've been given Australian tenure at University of New South Wales. So as you can see, I've had like a lot of interviews, and I've put together a lot of job packages over the years, and I've applied really widely in Australian universities and a little bit in universities overseas, and I've had a little bit of success, at least in the case of the Netherlands, in getting job interviews. So let me now try to start my spiel. And this is really the starting point. Obviously, it's like this guy. And I'm looking at this guy, and I'm like, what's wrong with you, guy? Guy, what's wrong with you? I'm like, who the fuck seriously gets 3 postdocs and only publishes 6 papers? For real. Now, I know like there's like all these slow academy movements, and like research takes time and all this kind of stuff, but man, if I was getting given postdocs, I would not be publishing an average of 2 papers per postdoc. That would make me look bad, man. I would be publishing as much as I could, focusing on high quality, but not on my 2 papers. I mean, I'm hoping that they're 1-year postdocs, right? But who knows? I mean, this guy obviously really, really values being able to spend at least 6 months writing 1 paper, with nothing else to do in theory, because he's a postdoc. Who knows? I mean, it's an imaginary scenario. But what I'm saying is, look, I don't feel super sorry for that guy. I mean, I feel a little bit sorry for him, but guy, you should publish a little bit more. Now, without wanting to go into it too much, because that's like the future, and you don't need to be thinking about that necessarily so much now, is that just in the last decade, 15 years, whatever, like there have been so many more ways in which every single element of life is datafied, metricized, quantified, etc. Right? And universities are in this world as well in that respect, and all of their stuff is, and all of your stuff is all getting datafied and quantified, and they're starting to get information about what makes someone look like what they think is a good employee. Being surprise. And so I'm kind of going for this kind of Moneyball kind of idea, right? Where, I mean, it's a pretty shitty movie, I mean, whatever, but it's this idea that, like, instead of thinking about what makes a great baseball player, they're just looking mathematically at the stats of each baseball player and choosing the cheapest possible person who's going to get the best possible outcome, which will produce the most home runs, which I think is, I don't know anything about baseball, but that it's some kind of stat like how often they get from hitting the ball to getting to the first plate, that's what they decide is the key statistic to determine and create a great team on the least amount of money. In this supposed to be true life sports story. Anyway, what I think that you can try to think about the things that you do yourself, and about what is the thing that's always going to make you look impressive for hiring committees. That's definitely publishing, peer-reviewed stuff. I don't know if anyone's telling you anything else. They probably aren't. But you may be hearing that a whole bunch of different stuff is important, and a whole bunch of different stuff is important. But that's the main game. That's the most important thing. If you can show that you can get 2 publications a year, no probs, like, they're going to hire you knowing that in 25 years' time, when they're checking down that gold watch for you, there's going to be 50 nice little publications with their university affiliation listed on it. That's going to be going into their national database for how much research funding they're going to get, what kind of research outcomes, etc. That you're going to just churn along and pump them out without getting leaned on or bothered or requiring lots of extra equipment or stuff. You can just do it, right? Maybe you can get more if you had more resources, but just you yourself, ding, 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 no props. Bam, off to the summit, off to the journal. You don't need anyone's assistance in that respect. So now that I've said that, I'm going to be going through this 5-part series. So this introductory video is just the first one, and the outline for the series is follows. First, looking for an academic job. Second, preparing an academic CV. Third, preparing a cover letter. 4, preparing a selection criteria. And 5, preparing a few interviews. Righto, thank you.